use 3 decks. Oh, I could have a little. Hi, hello, and welcome. I feel like I did not sleep well last night. I was stressed. Not stressed. I'm just like, oof, I don't know what's happening. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not for me to know what's happening. Ooh, cut into that emperor. Let's see that. And I found a talk. For some reason, I was just like checking everyone's community tab yesterday. Because I don't actually see community tab posts on my feed for some reason. Like, I'll see them sometimes if I'm on, like, a channel that's not my legacy channel. And a lot of times I browse YouTube, I go back to my legacy channel to browse most of the time. So on that one, for some reason, I don't see, like, any community posts. But I was just like, I'll go check community posts today. And one of the author, the creator of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. Ooh, what card is that at the bottom of the deck? 3 of Wands. The creator of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot had like a talk session, a Q&A with recently with someone else. And I watched it and I went like right to the part where they were talking about her deck. Ooh, Ace of Swords and the 4 of Wands. And it was interesting the part I got on because she was talking about sort of like with the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. I'm just shuffling these up before I begin. She was talking about how sort of like intense it can be in that one section that I watched, right? And I was like, wow, like accurate. Because I remember when I first got it, sometimes I was like, ooh, this is too much. It's too much. I don't understand. I don't get it. But I love it because it's like one of the heaviest hitting decks I have, I feel like. And it's intended to be that way. So, not that any of them aren't, but you know what I mean. Daughter of Swords and the Chariot. So I'm going to be doing a spread that I built to be more personal, actually. What card is this? The 5 of Swords. I had one card that was flipped over. And I cut right to it. So that's when I noticed it. What am I talking about? I don't know. I saw that interview that she had over there. Ace of Swords and the Chariot. And it was interesting. I didn't sleep that much last night. But I feel surprisingly not exhausted, which is nice. I get a 3 cut, then a 2 cut. Bottom of the deck is the Empress. So we have the Hermit and the Empress. And then I'm going to come over and shuffle the Pride Tarot. I know a lot of stuff is happening in the world right now. And a lot of stuff is happening in this country right now. And for the past, oh no, I don't look at this. I do not use these cards enough for that to be there. I guess maybe I do. I love these. I know a lot is going on in the world right now. And it makes things like this very interesting. And I mean, I guess things like this was always interesting, and things like this will always be interesting because there'll always be something going on in our personal lives, right? The Wheel of Fortune and the 6 of Cups. Y'all can't even see that. Oh well. But I guess I'm going to do this anyway. 6 of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is coming out with the 6s. I think I like it. Oh, the 10 of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. So, well, of course, you got to put that together. And yeah, so I'm just going to do this. I don't know. If it resonates, it resonates. As always, I feel like, I don't know, you know, things have been interesting lately. But I personally believe that things are changing and shifting. And it's been my journey since I started to not look at things with more of my physical eyes, but to look at them with more of a spiritual sort of understanding, I guess. And that's been the way that I made it through. Is this? I don't know. Oh, it's the four and the nine of pentacles. I was like, is that the five and the four of pentacles? Um, because that's how I've gotten through everything I had to get through, right? Because it's like, well, if I look with my, ooh, now it's the 10 and the 9 of pentacles. If I look with my eyeballs, I might be waiting forever to see something. But if I look with another sense, I can feel it coming before it actually comes. And then bottom of the deck is a Pride Tarot card. It's the title card. So we're going to see what this is about. But that's what helped me just get through a lot. And so now I know like a lot is happening, but my peace isn't necessarily disturbed. There are things that, Three of Wands, there are things that I felt like I've had to say, things that I've done, and I do that on my personal social media, of course. Um, but besides that, I don't know. And everyone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm fine. I'm great." Because I don't know. It's just things that can't be seen but can be felt. You know what I mean? Okay. Well, let me give this a cut. Oh, now we have the Magician at the bottom of the deck. So this is interesting. That's Mercury. The Hierophant into the Magician is Mercury. Mercury is in Cancer right now. Mercury is going to retrograde in 2 weeks at, I think it's at like 14 degrees. I looked last night to see if I'll get like a double, triple conjunction, and I am. Um, so it's going to retrograde at 14 degrees Cancer and then go back to 5, I believe, like 5 or 6 degrees Cancer. And then it'll go forward again until it leaves. And so my Mars is at 9 degrees Cancer. I have a placement 10 degrees Pisces. So those will get hit 3 times. Because it'll get hit on the way to 14, on the way back to 5, and then on the way moving forward again. And I don't think I have anything in early Scorpio. So I'm good on that front. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to say 8 minutes. We get into this. Well, I ain't even started yet. So this is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is not what I wanted to do. This ain't what I wanted to do. But I guess we're doing it. I guess the Six of Cups did come out fairly early. So it makes sense. So this I built to expand however long, but I'm just going to do 3. And so, first, we're going to pull a sort of representative from the SKT. I love using the SKT to anchor in an energy or to like call in energy or something like that. It just does it so well. Like, she built this thing to be a powerhouse. Ooh, 2 of Cups and the Seeker, seeking the other half of you. Na 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 na. Now we got that Ace of Pentacles with the Seeker. Okay, let me get in. Our Ace of Pentacles with the Join one. I'm listening to my Peaceful Meditations playlist. Let me calm down a little bit until I know what energy I'm working with. Well, there's that 8 of Cups with the High Priestess. Okay. That was quick. Bottom of the deck is the Hermit again. And the representative, sort of, that we have coming out is the Grotesque, the Five of Cups. So this is not going to be a happy story, but that's fine. And then I'm going to pull 3 of these. I don't even know if I have. And I want to do these face down. That would be great. Oh, well, as the 3 of Cups just flips right over. You going back in the deck. You can come back out if you're supposed to be in. So, ooh, cutting to the 8 of Wands and the 9 of Pentacles. So when it comes to this Grotesque, now the Grotesque is the 5 of Cups. And the Grotesque in this energy speaks to, the Grotesque in this deck speaks to the energy of, it's kind of sort of like an ugly duckling type of thing. It's like you're born extraordinary, and then through life, you are made ordinary by societal pressure, your desire to fit in, bullying, being made outcast, stuff like that, just wanting to fit in. And so there are things that we sort of sacrifice, parts of ourselves that we sacrifice in order to fit in. But it's, this card is, it's like a time to walk away from the story that we've created, for the false narrative that we've created for ourselves, in favor of picking up what makes us unique and beautiful and who we are, because that's what's given to us to get us to be wherever we need to be. Also speaks to gifts and abilities that have been sort of forgotten. Okay, now let's get this story. I'm going 3 cards, please. Just 3. Okay, I did not check out what that's fine. So, all right, I'll give it 2 more. Okay, and then I'll pull 1 off the top, 1 off the middle, and then 1 off of the bottom, since I'm only doing 3 to get like the whole story. Hey, Mimi. You did? Oh, what? Oh. Sorry. My phone is still on silence. Girl, I'm all right. I just been like sleeping, dreaming, eating sometimes. I got way too much sugar. And then sleeping some more. I've been in and out of bed and just like in this space of like trying to be the best little transmuter that I can. You know what I mean? But I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, you said same, so I was gonna ask how you've been, but I hope you're doing all right. Yeah, who have I talked to in the past few days? Like nobody. I just been back here like, yeah, sleeping, dreaming. I come on, I do my little upload, then I take a nap. I did some work actually, but I don't know. Dreams are insane. Your weight is dropping. Been to the stores. Yeah, dreams. I just let them be what they are, man. We're shedding something, maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I actually saw, it wasn't related to a dream, but I've been in this space lately, or since yesterday, kind of like, bottom of the deck is the 8 of Pentacles. I've been in this space of, so these are the story. These will be the, I'll do the SKT for the challenges, and then I'll do the Pride Tarot for the effects. I've been in this space of like not knowing exactly what I'm going to be doing next, and it's fine. I don't think I'm meant to know what I'm going to be doing next, because I don't think it's like the opportunity hasn't presented itself yet. and I would never guess what it is. So instead of trying to guess what it is, I'm just like trying to focus on, I don't know. You don't know anything besides being grateful. Wait, what? If not both. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're coming up on an eclipse season, so I wouldn't be surprised. It was the first lunar eclipse last year, actually, that for me, because we had a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse, and then a lunar eclipse, and it was like early July, mid July, and then late July, I believe. I believe. I believe. Um, but that's when things kind of sort of jolted me a little bit. And now we're coming back up on the first lunar eclipse. Um, but as far as realizations for me, I don't know. I feel like there's a converse. I don't know what's going on internally. It's. I will say I haven't felt anxious really in a while, which is amazing. I thought of it like the day before yesterday, maybe, or a few days ago. I was like, wow, I haven't really felt like randomly anxious for no reason in a minute. So I like that. Um, but besides that, it's been. I mean, I guess I did have a few dreams that were. I don't know. I feel like I'm just like processing and transmuting things, honestly. And so I'm just trying to, not trying to, but I'm just staying in like the space I'm in, I guess. So even if I do like look at something, and I have been looking at lots of stuff, but it doesn't affect me as much as it used to. Um, and it's, I guess, because I've already made peace with a lot. And it's because my focus is shifted more on, my focus is more on the outcome that I want to have, or the outcome that I want to experience, rather than the events going on right now. And it's not that I'm ignoring the events going on right now, but it's that I don't allow it to consume. Ooh, look at that. 8 of Swords and 9 of Swords. I don't allow it to consume me and make me prisoner, right? Because like I didn't spend all of this time building a healthier relationship with my mind to then, allow it to just run loose and wreak havoc. So, ooh, ears ringing, eyes twitching. I got one, like my left ear started ringing strong yesterday. Strong. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was like for a brief period. Um, but then it calmed down. What am I talking about? Oh, so yeah, I've been in this space of like, I've had some opportunities pop up, and the university in Abu Dhabi kept sending me these emails, and I'm like, I pass. And then I saw something about like Dubai or something. I'm like, wow, I'm not doing it. Um, ooh, I got one face down. Thank you. I got two. Ooh, okay, I got two face down. I'll put these here. So if a card comes out face down, I put it under here. But if it comes up face up, I put it back on the deck. um, But oops, see those tried to come out. Oh, well, what is this? The 5 of Wands. The 3 of Pentacles came out, and the 5 of Wands was at the bottom, and then here's that 9 of Swords. Oh, well, the 5 of Cups is the representative, so this is probably not going to be a happy story. But the healer is here, along with the bereaved, the 3 of Swords, and the Star. So not that you can see any of that. But yeah, I'm in this space like I don't think I'm supposed to know what I'm doing next, right? And so I got on here earlier to see what my video on the first was about so I could give it a title. And um, then I saw that Opal Oracle had a new video up and it was the Taurus video. So I was like, oh, well, let me just like, sometimes I click on a video just to see what the full title is. And so I did that. And then she was talking about, some of y'all like don't know what you're doing. It's like focus on the things that you do know or the things that like you can do now when you're in the space of preparing for whatever is coming that you don't know. And I was like, okay, this is going to be for me. And at first I was kind of sort of fine with it, but now I guess as we get closer to all of these eclipses and things like that, now I'm like, well, yesterday I was feeling a little bit of pressure to like figure something out. The Chariot, other than daily activities around the house. Yeah. Ooh, Ace of Swords and Justice with the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. Look at that. Let's go. Don't know what that's about, but I could guess. Ooh, and then cutting to the lovers on the other side. Okay, maybe that's what that's about. Like, don't pretend like you don't know. But yeah, yesterday I was like, ooh, feeling a lot. Kind of like, first it was fine. First it was chill, and then like this wave of pressure just came in, kind of. I'm like, okay, like what am I doing moving forward, or what do I want to do? And my path has shifted, and there are reasons why that. There are reasons that I see now for why that's the case. But I've also been in this space of like, I don't like to do anything I like, personally, I don't believe in singular reasoning. And by singular reasoning, I mean like, if I'm going to do something or if I'm going to stop doing something, I need more than one reason to do it. Right. I prefer at least like 3 reasons. And so, like, if I ever make a decision, it's like, there's multiple reasons why I make the decision. And so I was kind of sort of thinking about the direction that I want my life to go in. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that because of just this one reason. But then I thought about it and I was like, this is something that I was already looking into doing anyway, because of a few reasons. One of them being my happiness. And I feel like that's, if that's a singular reason, then, but it wasn't. But if it is, I feel like it's worth it. And so I guess that was kind of sort of comforting to know that even though some of the reasons behind why I've been going in the direction that I've sort of been veering into are whatever they are, it's reassuring for me to know that I was already heading in that direction anyway, if that makes sense. I don't think that came out how I was thinking it, but it's like there have been a lot of things I've realized, I guess. It's like, oh, I'm doing this. Like I know I've been preparing for this for a lot of things for a minute, subtly, without really knowing it, noticing it, or knowing why, but just going with it the whole time. But now I'm starting to see why those changes and shifts had started taking place. Right. And so it's like I feel like I'm sort of getting sometimes, not too much recently besides yesterday, but sometimes like with that realization I'll start to feel some type of way. But then it's like this is something I've been in the process of doing since before I even knew why I was doing it. So like, you know what I mean? This 3 of Wands, what's at the bottom of the deck? Ooh, the High Priestess. Been calling in them ships in ways that, well, actually, I feel like with these two together, This is preparing for departure, right? If the Three of Wands is like waiting on your ships, the Three of Wands with the High Priestess is preparing for departure in ways that you didn't even know that you should be prepared. Okay, Miyoshi. I mean, it seems like I'm gonna be shuffling up for a minute and just like talking, but thanks for letting me know. Okay. Can I get the next card out? This is the challenge, I believe. So we have the story, we have the challenges, and then we have the effects, the ways that it's affected us. Yeah, these are the challenges. And this is not because I looked at the titles for the readings, and the title for another one is more of what I wanted. But then I looked at the positions, like the card positions in this one, and I was like, ooh, like I want to do that one. But then I looked at the title for this one, and I was like, oh, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay. Is that the Emperor? It is. The Emperor came out with the Devil at the bottom of the deck and the Seeker behind that. Oof. With the Captor behind the Seeker. And then we have two messengers right after this. So I feel like this is the energy of um, it's like when you are trapped or when you're it's like a Stockholm syndrome type of feeling. It's also like a trauma bonding type of feeling. But it's like when you're trapped in a not so great situation, then you kind of sort of seek any escape out of it. And the first option that comes to you may not necessarily always be the best option. But if you are able to break those bonds, you come into a greater sort of knowledge, understanding, knowing, awareness, and ability. Um, and so it's all for something. Don't let anything be for nothing. Or at least that's my personal philosophy. Okay, let's get these challenges. They said top and bottom of the deck. Okay, here's this one. Oh, for both of them? All right. Oh, what's that? What's this? Who this? And now the moon is coming out with that emperor. Um, so it's like after you escaped from the previous one, it's like the strength that you gain from that escape changes your. It's like it's an energetic bed. It's like if there's like a flower bed, right? Like the ground, and then the flowers grow out of the ground. It changes the ground from which things grow. It changed the ground from which things grow. But you didn't necessarily, or we didn't necessarily know that it had changed. And so this is interesting because when the soil changes, the things that can grow in it are changed. But if we don't know that it's changed, then we assume that what is growing in it will be what used to grow in it. But if we've come out of that whole like Stockholm syndrome type of making the best out of a terrible situation, going from less bad to less bad, but when you're just really in reality making laterally terrible moves. Not terrible, but you're making lateral moves instead of like forward movement until you reach the point where you come and you say like enough is enough. When you say enough is enough, that's when things begin to change, but they change in a way that you may not necessarily be aware. And so this is a good thing, but without this subtle awareness, it'll keep you in places that you're not technically in. So it's almost like it keeps you in a devil type of situation, but it's gone. It's like phantom chains, right? It's like you freed yourself, but you don't believe that you're free. And so you continue to live in the prison, right? Here's this emperor again. This time the bottom of the deck is the captor. the Eight of Swords, and the Emperor just keeps coming out. Maybe I'll just take him. I'll put him here since he want to keep making an appearance. The Emperor, the Conservator, and the Knight of Pentacles. This is 5 Pentacles altogether, right? But I feel like this is a 5 of Pentacles that is like a return to a situation. So here's this Emperor again. The 4 of Pentacles, I feel like, speaks to a sort of weariness and leeriness. Weary and leery. A weary leeriness. And this Knight of Pentacles speaks to forward movement. But it's slow movement because it's like someone is learning or has learned to crawl before they can walk, to walk before they can run, to run before they can fly, to fly before they just teleport. Because there are some situations when you get good enough, you don't have to go through this whole long, drawn out process. You can just be gone, right? That's the power of the Emperor. That's how he expresses his dominion. I think dominion, sovereignty. That's how he expresses his sovereignty. The Empress expresses her sovereignty in a way that is like different, but that's how he expresses his. Um, and so, since he wants to keep coming out, I'm gonna give this a cut, and then I'll pull the top and bottom. Here's the top, here's the bottom, and now I will move on to the next row. Bottom of the deck is the joyous one, 10 of Cups. So it looks like the ending might be happier to this story, but the happiness of the ending of this story relies on our ability to pick up the pieces and to decide that we're not going to be anyone that we're not, right? To claim those lost and forgotten parts of ourselves that make us whole and complete and competent and capable of doing whatever it is that we need to do. Even when we don't know that we're going to be doing it, or even when we don't know that we're already doing it. I try to be like delicate with these cards, and so sometimes I feel like I don't shuffle them as well as I could. But ooh, ooh, ooh. Come on now. All right. Now this is how it's affected us. So effect number 1. Now these cards, when I first got them, they used to talk all the time. I mean, dropping out cards. What was that? I'm only taking cards face down, but Judgment came out with the moon at the bottom of the deck. So we just saw the moon with the Emperor, right? And the moon with the Emperor was about us, I guess in some ways, us regaining our power without even knowing that we had regained our power. And since we regained our power, it's almost like, oh, and then the World card came out. This card is face down, so I'm going to take these together. Bottom of the deck is the King of Swords. Well, I'll just take that card and I'll talk about the World. So the World speaks to the closing of chapters and the beginning and opening of new chapters, but how do you close a chapter? It speaks to energetics and frequency and the pool that we sort of like reside in, right? Because it's like whatever you believe in is what you manifest. And faith is a tricky thing because it works off of belief. And there could be things that you don't want to happen, but you think they will. Or you believe they will, even if you don't want them to. Even if you try to consciously tell yourself that you don't believe that they will happen or that you don't want them to happen. Ultimately, depending, because the King of Swords came out, right? Depending on what your relationship is with your mind, you may not be aware of the things that you are sort of running in the background. And so with the World card, it's about completely exiting that pool, right? And it's like I was saying, once you sort of, it's almost like once you take that power, once you reclaim that power, regardless of if you know it or not, if you don't use it, you almost make things harder for yourself. Because once you reclaim it, it's like you've increased the difficulty. And so the challenges that you face have the potential to be greater. but it's because like you're not aware. It's like when you're playing. I always talk about video games. Oh, boom. Should I not talk? No, I can talk about it, but I won't dive into it. It's like when you're playing a video game and you progress through the game. Let's say it's like an RPG type of game, a role playing game. Um, and that honestly, it's a game that involves an element of story and an element of progression. And as you progress through the story, it's just like a movie, just like a book. The challenges sort of ramp up as the hero sort of makes, progresses along the journey. It gets progressively more difficult. So it's like with that reclamation of the power, it's like you've reclaimed or you've like progressed in the story, but you're not utilizing any of the equipment, any of the abilities, any of the growth. You're not utilizing any of your growth. So things are getting more difficult potentially. But since you're not utilizing any of that, it seems like it's getting harder. But in reality, if you utilize the things that you've been acquiring this whole time, like you would have a much easier time, right? That's like sometimes I'll watch somebody play a game and like they'll get all of this equipment, but they'll never put it on. And then they start dying. And I'm like, first I'll be like, why are you dying so easily? Like, what is happening? And then you go and look at their equipment. It's like, you haven't put on anything that you've picked up. Like, no reason why you're like dying. Like, the armor that you've picked up as the game progresses makes you able to take a hit. And the weapons that you pick up as the game progresses, like, you hit harder. And so it doesn't take you as long to fight these fights. And you don't get knocked out in like 2 hits. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, why are you not equipping anything? And it's kind of sort of, it's not that like, oh my gosh feeling, but it's the feeling of like, you've progressed. And even if you don't fully consciously realize it, like you have. And so if you come across situations that are increasingly difficult that make you feel increasingly less able to rise to the occasion, then it's probably because you've learned something that you're not utilizing. You've progressed, but you're not equipping whatever you've been granted or given to. Like every time you beat a boss, most of the times you beat a boss in a game, you get a shiny new item or a new ability or a new power or something. A heart in Zelda, you know, but it's like you're not using any of it. So it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder why this is so difficult. Okay, what's next? So the effect from this second one, and then I'll flip all of these. Oh, okay. Ooh, a whole bunch of cards just came in. But I'll take this one because that's the only card that didn't sort of flip out. And then the Two of Pentacles was left at the bottom of the deck. Some cards didn't turn sideways. Some cards are still straight up. Okay, so the King of Wands, the Hanged Man, and the Two of Wands. This is someone who has the power to proceed and power to progress forward, but they're sort of stuck because they haven't picked a path. The indecision is keeping you held hostage, I guess, in this situation. And then we have Temperance, the Queen of Swords, and the Eight of Swords. This is the energy of a damsel in distress who can free herself, but who won't. Someone who has resignated or someone who has resigned themselves to waiting when, you're supposed to be like Cinderella from the Cheetah Girls and rescue yourself. I don't know if we're necessarily too much doing rescues right now, because if you're waiting on a Prince Charming, your Prince Charming is going through his own struggles. Your Prince Charming is in his own tower. And if you're waiting on him to get out of his tower to come and then free you from your tower, or if y'all waiting on each other to do that, y'all may be waiting for a while. Ace of Wands. I feel like this is courage, this is strength, and this is bravery. But you gotta want it. Okay, give me something face down, please, so I can finish this up. All this like pre-story. Four of Swords. Well, I'll see. I'll pull one more for this before I talk. What is this? The Emperor. Of course. Now the Emperor is gonna start coming out in this deck. And it's the same spot. Ooh, y'all keep it up. I'm gonna just pick some cards. The Emperor and the Four of Swords. When you have the power, but you're not utilizing it. But it's almost the feeling of a sleeping dragon or a sleeping dog. And I feel like a dark night of the soul is a great thing to get you to wake up, to begin a journey, to motivate a change of a course of action. But once you go through that, I don't think the intention is for you to continue to need dark nights to get to the next level. And I feel like that's sort of that like Emperor and the Four Swords feeling. It's like you're recovering from the last dark night and preparing for the next one, but you could it's like because the dark night is essentially when, spirit or the universe or whoever you believe in, not always, but a lot of times it is, where they come in with a certain situation to instigate movement or to instigate healing or to instigate something else. When it's like you could move, you could heal, you can do a lot of other things without needing such a calamitous situation to trigger it. But like that's what the Emperor and the Four Swords is doing. Like that's the sleeping dragon, right? It's like you're not going to do anything until things get overwhelmingly whatever, and then you're sort of like, instead of being in an actionary mode, cutting to the moon and the hangman. Oh, this is Piscean energy. This is Pisces. This is Neptune. This is Pisces and its ruler, moon and the hangman. Even though the moon in the sky rules Cancer, but the card is Pisces. So hey, um, I guess it's a lot easier said than done. But it's like at least you won't need the nights to be as dark, right? Um, and I guess this is kind of sort of, we don't need on a collective level, right? Hopefully, I believe. I'm not gonna say hopefully. I'm gonna say like I feel it. I'm gonna speak it. We don't need things to get as bad as maybe they would have had to in the past in order for us to come into a space of change, because we're already sitting on the precipice of such great change anyway. It's one of the things that was queued up to come in and be corrected, one of the many things. And so we can make this less difficult on ourselves, right? We have the power and ability to create this change. And the power and ability more so comes with, it's a collective thing that sort of plays out on an individual basis, so it's interesting, but it doesn't have to be that bad. Ooh, pride card. Okay. I'm gonna just pull a random card and we're gonna start because I've been rambling long enough. But yeah, it's like, we don't always need things to get so dark before we begin to move. And then the Six of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. So, Six of Cups is giving us the potential to make this a good story. This is either a story that's gonna sort of turn around, or it's gonna be like a reoccurring nightmare that we have that we never really grow up from. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it's more of the former than the latter. 44 minutes. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. I'm timestamping this one. I always put the timestamps in the description box of the video. Sometimes I put it in the comments, but if I take a timestamp, it's always in the description. 9 times out of 10, it's in the description. Like 6 to 8 times out of 10, it's in the comments. So that means like, I'll say about 6 times out of 10, If it's in the comments, it's in the description. So there's 2 times out of 10 where it'll be in the comments, but not the description. Math. Let me see. I pulled 2 cards out of the SKT for all of this. So I can't I Ching. I love the I Ching. I love the I Ching. I'll say 45-15. And we're going to get started. So this is a Forgotten Past spread that I kind of sort of built. And I built this because when I originally started my journey and when I got into the cards, this is exactly why I did it personally, to illuminate things that I couldn't see or things that I wasn't necessarily consciously aware of, things that needed to change within me. And I personally did it for healing. So, if you can't tell by what I love to do and talk about, I did it for healing and growth and progression because I got into it. I mean, that was what triggered my sort of like darkest night, was all of the stuff that I hadn't addressed that was piling up that I knew about. And I was like, okay, it's time to let all this go. And this was a tool to help me. So again, the grotesque is our sort of overall. And so I don't know if it's going to follow this, but there's us living with these 5 cups, and then the 3 cups fall over, and then we move on to the 2 cups. Potentially. We'll see. But either way, living with all 5 of those cups weren't great. If those cups were meant to fall, those cups, I mean, I'm not going to speak ill of a season of our lives, right? But if they weren't meant to last a lifetime, then it's like, we got to let them go. If you keep anything past its expiration date, it gets gross and moldy, So we're starting with the Daughter of Cups. This is going to be difficult going off of just one card, but I'll do my best. The Daughter of Cups speaks to naivete, emotional, spiritual, or just like within the self. Um, and that's different than emotional because I feel like you can be fairly emotionally stable but not be in touch or in tune with the self at all. And that's a lot of like surface level sort of whatever, right? A lot of bandaging and stuff like that. And so I guess in the beginning of this story, we have someone who starts off black and white. Oh, this is the game. This is the start of the game. You see, she starts off kind of sort of black and white, and then we have all of these colors in her shadow. And so she has to go through each level, red to orange to yellow to green to blue to indigo to violet, integrating at every single point along the way. Now, if she's in green territory and she's not even using her orange, you can see she's going to be at a disadvantage, right? And that's also kind of sort of how the chakra system works in some ways. Like when you clear it, a lot of times you clear from the bottom up, because if the ones at the bottom aren't fully aligned or if they're not functional or operational, then it's like it's still going to cause issues. And it's because it's like this like a daisy chain, because they're all progressively connected, right? And so it's like, let's say you're in a plant and one of your like a factory, and one of your machines isn't functioning, right? If you look at the machine and nothing is wrong with the machine, then you may look at the pipes and you may see if there's a blockage somewhere. You may see if there's like a machine before this machine where things are going off, right? And then it's like you trace it back to where the thing is. And so if you're only focused on, let's say, the heart chakra, because I said green, if you're only focused on the heart chakra, then it's like your heart chakra for the most part is functioning at the capacity that it can function with the blockage maybe in the sacral, because I said like you're in the green but you're stuck and not even integrating the orange. And so it's like without the sacral lined up, the solar plexus can't do what it needs to do fully. And without the solar plexus not doing what it needs to do fully, the heart is even more impacted because now it's not getting what it needs from the solar or the sacral. And that's why you got to go back and then like clear it out, sort of back up, right? So this is the beginning of the journey. This speaks to progression. This speaks to a naivete. This speaks to, I'm getting like warrior princess vibes, like Merida from Brave, because she's one of the Disney princesses. Mulan, even Rapunzel in Tangled, like with her frying pan. Jasmine, Pocahontas. There's actually quite a few of them, um, where they're fighters, right? Or they're adventurers. Typically, I mean, I haven't seen Sleeping Beauty, but from what I know, she's like sleeping in the bed. And I didn't too much see a whole bunch of Snow White, I don't think, but from what I've seen, she was sleeping in the bed. Um, like this isn't your princess who's sleeping in the bed. I mean, she might be sleeping in the bed, but she's not supposed to be. And so the challenge that came her way is the Seven of Cups, the Corruptor, and the Bread of Life, Ace of Pentacles. This speaks to, I mean, it's like she picked the wrong cup and she went down. It's like she picked one of these cups. All of the cups in the Corruptor are bad. And I say bad. Warrior Princess Xenon, was that her name? Ooh, I should watch that show. It didn't even come to my mind until I read you see it. Until I saw you, what? Until I read you type it. Until I read what you typed. What are words? Um, all of the cups in this one, they're all bad because they all speak to one of the seven deadly sins. And so we have this seven colors in the rainbow, seven chakras. Each chakra is associated with a deadly sin and with a virtue. Shout out to Mimi for giving me that sort of chart a long time ago. I don't remember. But the seven chakras are associated with one of the seven virtues and with one of the seven deadly sins. You watched some clips on YouTube a few months back. I think I watched like one, like a piece of one because it randomly popped up. And I was like, oh snap, I remember when this show was on TV. I feel like I watched it, but I didn't watch it, if that makes any sense. And so it's like, you know, we get stuck at one of the deadly sins. We get stuck in one of these pitfalls and we try to build a life out of it. And this Ace of Pentacles cannot flourish in any of these. It can't because it requires too much. Like, look how big that pentacle is, right? If you pick one of these cups, one of these little cups, you think that's going to be enough water for this seed? Like, do you like you get one of these cups? You think it's going to be enough water for that to really grow and flourish and blossom? Like, no. So it was kind of sort of doomed from the start, honestly. I mean, but that is the daughter of cups. You know, she has to. She learns through battle. Right? She's a warrior princess. She learns through battle. She grows. She gets smarter. Experience and talent lead to her becoming the queen. And it's interesting that she's the queen of cups. So I feel like, you know, she doesn't fight for the sake of fighting. And I feel like she may not even necessarily too much be interested in it, but you best believe that she will protect whatever she protects. Like she may be a pacifist at heart, but she could be a warrior by trade, by skill, by hand. Also, kind of sort of an Athena energy. And Pallas just moved back into Capricorn. I checked the transits earlier, or last night. I checked last night. And Pallas is back in Capricorn. Pallas was in Aquarius, retrograding with Saturn, but it's already crossed over back into Capricorn. Um, but yeah, this is her. The challenge was, I guess, for her, her challenge was trying to make the most of a bad situation. But none of these were truly meant to enter the space that she tried to create for it. Like you see that cube, I'm seeing it as like a cube with this void space in the middle, right? Like none of these could have occupied that space, but it's progressive, just like, you know, going from the red to the orange to the yellow is progressive. It was meant to be a step. And again, I told you we're going to start where the five cups are all upright. And these are three cups that were never meant to, like, these three cups are always meant to go down. But in the beginning, you don't know that. And so we're in the space where these five cups are upright before the three go down. And Juno isn't in retrograde anymore as of 2 weeks ago. Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Is Juno in Libra? I think. I believe Juno is in Libra, right? I didn't know she went direct. I haven't too much paid attention to the transits outside of Mercury and Cancer because that's how that's the one I've been feeling. Oof, it's closing in on my Mars. Oh wow, 5 degrees Libra direct. I didn't know that. So I mean Juno, her story, but she's the planet of like the asteroid of like marriage and stuff. So and then the way that it affects us, we have this Ace of Swords. This is the effect that it's had on us. And so I think the effect that it had was that okay, these three cups that were upright, maybe we had to knock them over. And honestly, maybe us knocking the cups over, because with the five of cups, there's typically three cups knocked over, two cups still standing. But maybe instead of us knocking over the three cups that weren't supposed to be upright, we just reached the point where we stopped picking them back up. Right? It's like if you're gonna keep knocking these cups over, like it seems like I'm the only one trying to keep these upright. And if you want to keep just knocking them over, we can keep them knocked over. Or you can keep yours knocked over, and I'm gonna go and take my two left upright. Cause, and I feel like that's also the energy, and maybe it's coming in with this Ace of Pentacles and this Corrector as well. Like this is someone. Ooh, I don't know why I want to say Taurus because it can be the shadow side of Taurus. And this is Scorpio. This is Venus in Scorpio. And so, opposite of Scorpio is Taurus, and opposite of Venus, I guess, could be Mars. So maybe Mars and Taurus. Mars is in Pisces right now. Um, but this could be someone who kind of sort of use their status, use their wealth, use their ability to provide for you against you. Because you know that even together, these seven cups wouldn't be enough to provide nutrition for this seed. And so there is a little bit of a manipulative energy potentially could be there as well. But then this Ace of Swords, I feel like it brought us clarity. This is how it affected us. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it put us in a better situation because this sword is the first thing that this warrior princess acquires. Remember, I said it's like a video game. The sword is what she was granted. Now she has to use it. She can't go through the rest of the story not using this sword that she got in the very beginning. I mean, she could, but it would be extremely difficult for her, or more difficult than it needs to be for her. I like that. It'll be more difficult than it needs to be. And so this is in the space of a forgotten past, though, and it's like a collective forgotten past. Um, I feel like we've all kind of sort of, or a lot of us, have been sold false dreams, have been told that we would find purpose and fulfillment in certain areas that aren't for us. And so we continue to sort of like go through them even when we shouldn't. Like there are people who become like full doctors and full lawyers who then discover that it's not what they want to do. And it's like, several years and dollars later, they walk away from it. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of what I said, right? It's energy. It can be applied in any situation. It can flow through any funnel. It's just like air. It can blow through any crack, right? It can fill any balloon. You can put orange balloon, pink balloon, red balloon, green polka dot balloon with blue stripes. Polka dots and stripes on the same balloon. But yeah, and I feel like it was a divine lesson at the same time. to teach us our worth with that crown up there, or to tell us that we're worth more than this, right? Because even if we are just a daughter of cups, I mean, you still gosh darn royalty. Even if you ain't ruling queen, you still should be treated like one, right? Because you will be. Now I'm gonna eat some peanuts, so forgive me if this offends you. But at the same time, I don't really care. I'm just like over so much. I don't think I'm gonna do the eating. So next we come to the father of cups, which is interesting. And then I had the daughter. No, I had the son and the mother of wands, maybe. No, maybe not. We go from the daughter to the father of cups. And this is in the space of a forgotten past, right? So I guess I'll try to project this every step along the way. So what it's looking like now is that there were things that we used to want because we were told to want them, or because we thought that they would give us something that they were not intended to give us. And we came to that knowledge and awareness, which is why we walked away from the thing in the first place. Now, call it the times, call it lack of other options coming forward, call it whatever you want to call it. But, okay. But now it's like we're coming back to these things for whatever reason, or maybe these things will be coming back for us. And with the Six of Cups over here, it's like memory is a tricky thing. It's almost like if it's a person, if it's a job, if it's a situation, whatever it is, it's like we're not fully remembering why we walked away in the first place. And so there's almost this like rose tinted glasses type of feeling just because we can't remember fully what it was. And like there was a situation in my life a few months ago that like destroyed, it didn't destroy me, but it had the potential to really, 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 really hurt me. And like high key, I was shook. And I was like, I'm not gonna allow this to consume me, but I'm not gonna address it either. But now, like looking back on it, it's like I don't know, I'm not in that place anymore. I'm not in that space anymore. And so even though it affected me that greatly in the past, it doesn't have that same hold on me now. And so I forget, or I don't fully remember the impact of that moment. But that taught me something. And so I can't pretend like I didn't learn whatever it taught me, even if the impact isn't as hard hitting or as fresh, even if the wounds aren't as fresh, even if they sort of like healed up. I still need to remember, okay, fire is hot, scissors are sharp, and too much water can be a bad thing. What about earth? That was cups, wands, and swords. What about earth? I don't know. That's interesting. Earth was the only element that kind of sort of didn't pop up. Um, but yeah, so now I feel like, that's something that we forgot. We may be tempted to sort of pick these three cups back up, maybe. And it may not even necessarily be with the same person or with the same situation, but it could be that energy playing out in a different way. Because maybe with that one person, we have that knowledge and awareness and understanding, but what it's going to be testing or what it's going to be reinforcing is the understanding outside of that. Like with the world card, I was like, it's like we exit one pool and we enter another one, regardless of if we know it or not. And so it's like we can continue to allow sort of things to come in that aren't supposed to be in this, or we can dismiss new things because we're in a new space, and then it sort of bleeds back into the previous, right? That's when you go red, orange, yellow, green, and then you start going back yellow, green, red, because you have to rework your foundation. And red is the foundation. Oh, look, and then we have the pride card right here. I love this. First card on the table is this. Last card on the table is this. The journey, y'all. The journey. At the end of the journey, you hit spirit, though. So, hey, at the end is the crown. At the top is the crown. And then, we see the crown. This could be related to a dark night of the soul that will get us started on this journey, potentially. Now, as we continue the story, you have stopped picking up these cups that don't want to stay up, and you have come into your own sort of like black swan type power. Now, I don't want to project any of the societal stereotypical color associated blah 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 mumbo jumbo onto this black swan, but this does feel like the energy of someone. This is like a Queen of Swords in reverse type of energy. And the Queen of Swords in reverse is the Father of Swords upright, or the King of Swords upright, because of the distance, the emotional distance. So there's a knowledge and awareness and understanding. There's a capacity there, but there's also a distance. And so on the outside, unlike the Queen of Swords, on the outside, it may seem inviting. But when you get closer to it, you'll know that it isn't. It's just another water bird. Just because it's a water bird don't mean it's nice. Geese, and even swans. Like a duck, maybe. A goose, a swan is like, no, leave them alone. Leave them alone. These ain't the little birds that sit in your bird bath. Some of them birds have teeth. Looking at you, geese. But this is giving me the feeling of like someone who's become jaded. It's almost like this is like soot, right? Like you've been through the worst of it. This is like rubble. This is soot. This is ash. It's all kinds of stuff that you kind of sort of pick up along the way. And instead of like dusting out your feathers, instead of like sitting on top of the water, instead of like going in the water, allowing yourself to be cleansed. And again, this isn't, we ain't projecting all that garbage, but this is the image that I'm seeing. Like this is not its natural color. This is not, and like you kind of sort of see that here. Like this is not this swan's natural color, but it's like a scar. Like, oh, you want to see how I got this scar? Like, yeah, it makes me tough. It's like you prefer to walk around with all this garbage instead of, but it gave you strength. That's the part I didn't say yet. You find strength through all of these situations that you've been through. And it's like just because you cover yourself with ash does not make you a phoenix. Just because you cover yourself with ash and then you fly up in the sky, that does not a phoenix make. But the challenge here is, ooh, Archangel of Mysteries and the Stronghold of the Grail. So we're going to be pulling another card. I'll pull this one right here. Y'all see this right here? This one right here. This is her message. Ooh, almost got two. Ooh, ha! Accurate. The Tower. Boom, 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 boom. And the Tower is actually related in this deck to the Corruptor, because it is this axe, the axe of Shiva, maybe. It's either Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. It's not Vishnu. I think it's the axe of Shiva is what cuts out all of this corruption from the Corruptor. So I love this. I love this. But this is the challenge, right? So the challenge now is, see, first we had our first dark night. We have our first dark night where we realize These three cups are never gonna stay up. I'm just gonna have to walk away. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't want to seem insensitive, y'all, but I feel like I kind of do sometimes. I understand that some of these things can be difficult, but I also understand that I will not be adopting any of the mindsets, thought patterns, or behavioral patterns that I left in the past to reach the spot that I'm in now. Because it's not worth it. It's a non option. Like you're giving me seven cups, and I'm like, okay, all of those are bad. So I'm just gonna sit here, chill, and wait until you can present me something that is worthy and befitting of someone like me, someone like all of us. But some people take the cups. So if you take the cup, they're gonna keep giving you that cup, right? It's like, why would we spend more money? Why would we go and look for something more precious when you're satisfied with, you know, this stuff? And even if you're not satisfied with it, the fact that you continue to take it, they're gonna keep giving it to you, right? And that's part of that emperor space that we reach. That's part of that emperor space that we reach is when we can get to the point of saying, you know what, this may be the better out of these options, but none of these are good. This may be less bad marginally than the others, but none of these are acceptable. So I will continue to wait until I find one that is. But that's later in the story, apparently. So here we have this with the right with all of the experiences, all of the trauma that it's gone through, essentially, and it wears its trauma like armor, and that's why it's all dirty. Right. Again, this is not this swan's natural color. I just want to clarify, if it were naturally a black swan, it would be perfect as it is, but it's not. Maybe it's trying to be. If you trying to be, just get a little soot, put it on you, call yourself a phoenix. But the feeling that I'm getting, like with this Archangel of Mysteries, angel who illuminates the shadows, and with this stronghold of the Grail, I feel like this is a message from Spirit. And this is sort of the guide that's sort of been with us through the thick of it. And then we come to a moment where we realize that the things that we've picked up and the things that we use as armor, the things that we continue to hold on to make us strong, are actually holding us back from attaining and achieving what it is that we actually want. And so, like, as long as we continue to hold on to that, we'll be stuck at this page spot and we won't be able to proceed further. And you can like call yourself a knight, right? It's like you can be a page and you can put on the armor that's too big for you, and you can go into the stables and snatch a horse and ride off and call yourself a knight. But just because you're on a horse in armor that is too big for you, like just because you're on a horse wielding a sword or whatever, doesn't mean you're a knight, right? To be a knight, like they go through training, right? Like there's a whole process involved. Then you get knighted, you get recognized by a king or a queen or a ruler or someone in some position. You get recognized as someone who is capable and worthy of defending the empire, the kingdom. And so it's like the next stage of your initiation into knightdom is to let go of all of the things that you've claimed as strength. Is to be vulnerable enough to strip away all of that armor and to look at yourself for who you really are. Because once you do that, you'll realize that even though you stopped picking these cups up off of the ground, you're still stuck there mourning them, right? It's like, okay, you haven't picked up the cups, but you're just standing there staring at them. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. Like I said, like as long as you continue to not address whatever this is, you're going to be capped at the page. And so that's what this tower moment is for some people. It's going to be forgiving, it's going to be releasing, it's going to be feeling, it's going to be maybe experiencing again But when you go back through all of that, you're supposed to go back as this archangel of mysteries. This is who you are supposed to be. I know I said it's a guide, but I mean, there are guys who have been watching you, right? But this is who you're supposed to be when you go back, right? You're not supposed to re enter those situations with the same mind frame that you were in when you were in them. You're supposed to go back with a new knowledge and awareness and understanding of what you know now. Because when you go back and you release these, when you clean this swan, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it, apparently, this is not an actual black swan. If this were an actual black swan, it would be fine because that's how, it was created, but it's not. This is just a swan that's been through some things that wants to call itself a black swan now. And it's like, no, that's not who you are. And when you go back and when you do this, you'll realize what your strength really is. Because as long as you continue to hold on, like this tower, like there's a reason why this tower is going down. And like you got the lightning bolt, you got the trident, you got this axe down here. It's like there's a reason why this thing is not meant to stand. And to continue to try to force it is to keep yourself stuck. And then the way it affects us is the Seven of Pentacles. I think it keeps us in a space of wanting, it keeps us in a space of wishing, and it keeps us in a space of waiting. It keeps us in this space of like all of those seven pentacles are associated with the seven chakras in this deck. So look, we got the Seven of Cups. Now here we go. Come down to the Seven of Pentacles. And I feel like this is trying to do it in a practical way with the Seven of Pentacles, but this is like energy. Like you can't clear energy with dense energy, right? You kind of sort of have to come in with a frequency that is lighter, that is higher, that will raise it. Because if you come in with something otherwise, it'll damp it, it'll bring it down, right? And so also it's like as you begin to sort of clear your chakras, it's a system that maintains itself, right? It's like within certain print, again, it's like a factory, the machines can operate between this temperature and that temperature. Above that temperature, we may get a critical meltdown, and that's when we got to send in the person who fixes the machine to fix the machine, right? Now, preferably, hopefully, if we notice it getting too high and if the system isn't kicking in to fix itself, then we can go in before everything melts down, right? That's the space where, I don't know, you don't need a dark night of the soul to go in and fix something, right? You can notice that, hey, this is coming. I better address this before it becomes too much because I don't want a complete meltdown, right? Because then you gotta heal from it. You gotta recover from it, right? But with the Seven of Pentacles, it's like I feel like the way it's affected us is sort of like I said, it's keeping us in the space of wanting, wishing, and waiting because we're trying to move forward without doing any of the work necessary to get us there, right? It's like we're trying to call ourselves knights without going to night school or night academy or whatever. And like I said, like just because you put on the gear and you snatch a horse doesn't mean you're a knight. You don't have any authority. You don't have any power because that has to be bestowed, right? Now, we're going to say that this authority and power is going to be bestowed by a just system instead of an unjust system that will give anyone who wants to call themselves a knight, oh, you want to be a knight? Yeah, sure. Whatever. Here's a sword. Go at it. And you're just like, really? We just giving anybody a sword and calling anybody a knight nowadays? That's where you run into issues. Um, but again, in some ways, the knights of the kingdom are a reflection on its rulership. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the king and the queen who knight the knights. So, I mean, it's not that the knights aren't an issue, but, the king and the queen that would make them a knight in the first place, they're also part of the problem. So, uh, Anyway, continuing. So this is supposed to be the forgotten past, but honestly, this is just a journey. Um, oh, maybe that's why I made this. I was like, I can't remember. I can't remember why I built this the way I built it, but I think I remember now. I think I remember now, and I think I love this. Yeah, I remember why I did this way now. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. I'm just like building the spread out in my head even more. So what was I saying? Yeah, with that Seven of Pentacles, I feel like it's we can want it as long as we want, but if we don't have the clearance or the authority to make it happen, it's not going to happen. Um, and so this is where we are with, like, this is a snapshot of the present energy. We've recognized that the cups are on the ground, but we have not yet moved on with the two that we still have. So maybe this will give us some insight into moving on. Now we have the Eight of Cups. Insight into moving on, the card of moving on. Here's the Five of Cups being sad, and the Eight of Cups is walking away. The Five of Cups is just like, that's just moping. Ain't no movement. It's a recognition, but ain't no movement. The Eight of Cups is the actual movement. So now we get to the actual journey. So if you are in a space of this Father of Cups, thinking that you are this majestic and rare and beautiful black swan, newsflash, let's bring you back to reality. You're not. Sorry. Not sorry, but sorry to burst your bubble if mommy told you that you're special. And now you're finding out that you're not really, but you need to be. So you're going to make other people feel less special than you so you can have some semblance of a feeling of being special. And it's like, hey, well, it's your mama fault too, because she shouldn't have told you that you're special. And it's not that you're not special, but if you're not doing any of the things that make you like, if you're acting ordinary and mundane, like, you have the potential to be special, you have the capability to be special, you were created to be special. But if you're not doing any of those things, it's like, she didn't lie, but you didn't listen to the full story either. But you, for gosh darn sure, will make sure that other people know that they are less special than you are, because if you're not special, then your whole world just falls apart and you don't know what to do. Again, blame the kings and the queens for making all of these people nice. This is why you need. Never mind. Anyway, proceeding with the story on the table that is related to us, maybe on more of an individual level as a part of the collective, rather than the collective in general. This is what everything is going to be. It's fine. We bring it up. We got to feel it to heal it, right? It's like the ugliness has to rise to the surface so we can just cut it all off, dust it off, clean it off, and then move forward. But it's like, as soon as the fruit starts to go bad, we can just pick it. We don't got to wait until it rots and does all this other stuff. Like, we could save time on that aspect, but we will be made aware of how the rotten fruit are rotten, and then hopefully, we'll take them out of the barrel before they spoil all of the other fruits. And some people may say, well, it's been in the bucket for a long time. Everything in that bucket is spoiled. I don't know. Back to the story. So to move forward, we have to walk away. Like, the Eight of Cups is walking away. And how many cups? I mean, if you had to, I would say there are 2 cups within these 8 that you can drink out of. And it would be this one right here. Because if you're careful, the bottom of it is good enough. You can get some liquid in there, and then you can just like fountain it. Make sure it ain't no like broken glass, because we ain't trying to swallow that cup, and then this cup right here as well. Right now, this cup, see how low that is right there? It wouldn't feel. But these 2 over here, you can get some liquid and you wouldn't necessarily. I wonder if that was intentional. Probably not, but like you got the two upright cups. So to continue to stare at these three knockdown cups is to shatter all the rest of these. Um, because cups they're like it's water, right? It's an element of life, right? And it's almost like these cups are organic. And so if you neglect them, then they're going to go bad. Um, so now we're sitting at the space where this father of cups has to realize that even though it's sort of progressed in some ways, it needs to go back to when it was a daughter. And now here we come to the space of inner child healing because we are already this father of cups. But where things started to go awry was with this daughter of cups because we didn't go through the colors in the order that we were supposed to. And when you talk about pigments, all of the colors together make black, right? When you talk about light, all of the colors together make white because pigment is the opposite of light because the color that you see is the wavelength of light that the pigment does not absorb. So like it absorbs everything else but green light. And so it reflects green light. And so just like you see a green light with the flashlight, you'll see a green light with the tree because that's the light that is putting off by effectively absorbing everything else. Right. And so when you have white light is all of the colors put together. Well, if something absorbs every single spectrum of light, what are you going to get reflecting off of it? Nothing. Because everything that shines upon it, it eats, it devours, right? It's the void. That's why the voids are black. That's why black holes are black because they suck in all the light. There's nothing to, like, they don't project anything. Um, where was I going with this? So yeah, like the alchemy that would have been here to make this a rainbow swan, like the colors went awry, and now it's just like because it's holding on to it. It's holding on to it to these false lights, bad lights, things that it doesn't even like. It's holding on to it and it's dirtying itself. And again, this is not a naturally black swan. If this were a naturally black swan, it would be gorgeous, but it's not. This is like one of those swans that they take the dove. Is it dove? The dish, yeah, I think it's Dove. No, Dove is so. What? Dawn? Is it Dawn? This is one of the birds in the commercial that is covered with oil that they take the dishwashing liquid to and they clean it off. Like this is one of them oily birds because it's been swimming in a pool of oil. And look, it's sucked up all the oil in that pool. Like now the water is clean, but you're going sort of awry, and that may speak to someone's sort of empathic ability potentially. Or it could speak to someone who is empathic, who's engaged with a lot of narcissists who have been jaded now. And it's because you just like you absorb and soak up everything instead of transmuting it, right? It's time to transmute all of that, change it into actual strength, and to then walk away, right? And it's like you can walk away leaving this body of water cleaner than you found it, but also you can clean yourself at the same time because I don't know. There's like you're not. I'm not gonna keep beating this. Like you get it. So now we move down to the challenge, and we have the Emperor right here, who is another bird in this deck. Believe it or not. So all about the birds. But I think birds are the only animals. Swans and this. It may be a falcon or an eagle. I can't remember. Or a hawk. It might be a falcon or a hawk. And the Emperor. Let's see. We get the burdened one and the Four of Wands. Does this speak to choice? No. You have to let it go to claim this victory, right? And that's what some of these journeys are all about. Getting you to the point where you can let go of all of the things that have happened to you. And like I said, it's like this person is fighting the divine. You are like the divine is trying to come down and take these, and you're like, no, these are mine. These are my wands. What are you doing? I've earned these wands. You know how much garbage I've been through? I'll never forget. I'll never forget. It's like you can't go from the 10 to the 4 if you're holding on to all these. And we can't do this. Like, this is something that we do because the 4 of Wands is like a minor achievement. It's like a minor world card, right? Where the world is like on a much grander scale. The 4 of Wands is on a, let's say, more observable scale. Like, I didn't eat the cookie today, so I'm going to eat the cookie tomorrow to reward myself. I don't know. Um, but like this formation can only be done by this. And so first we give up all 10, and then we work from the beginning, starting with the ace, and we build up something new. Right? This is the process. But a lot of times what happens is once we reach, and this is going to be from personal experience at this point, because this is a point that I actually reached last summer. So it'll be almost a year ago. And oh wait, it's June now. It'll be coming up on a year ago. It may have been in July. I think it was in July, like later July. But when we reach this point, we've already tapped into our true source of strength. And I feel like there's a fear that without all of this there, it's like without our trauma, who would we be? It's when your trauma and when the struggles that you've gone through become a way for you to identify yourself, that's when you have a problem, right? And it's funny, it's like, people say that, like, I'm not my trauma, I am a person who has experienced this trauma. And it's like that's what they say, and again, that's not what all of them say. But I feel like it's some of us enter the space of like we say that we're not our trauma, but we behave like we are, right? And again, it's like, there's a difference between moving on from it and um, it's like I don't know how to say it in words, but there's a difference between, like, no one, I don't think anyone is asking you to forget that it happened, because ultimately at the end of the day it's part of what made you you, right? It's something that you went through to heal from, maybe to help other people, maybe to bring it to the light, maybe to address it. But it's not for it to consume you, it's not for it to be your identity, right? Like, there are many facets to who you are as a person. And a lot of times, especially if you're young, a lot of times when you experience something like that, it does shape who you are on so many levels. But again, at the same time, it's not for that to be all of who you are. Because if that's all of who you are, how would you ever experience anything different? How would you ever experience otherwise? How would you ever attract otherwise if you're talking about the law of attraction, right? That's when we have these programs running in the background that continue to manifest the things, even if we're not consciously aware of it, because we have these things inside of us that aren't fully addressed. And this is someone, and like this is all of us, especially with the world we live in. With that Father of Cups, it's like someone who's become jaded and someone who's become distant. And like that's kind of sort of the Father of Cups and maybe more of his shadow energy. But all of these cards are upright, so hey. But anyway, I said all that to say that I feel like there's this moment where if we give this up, we don't know who we'll be. We don't know if we'll be strong enough to not allow it to happen again if we're not constantly thinking of what happened. But I feel like when we give these up, we'll kind of sort of realize that we already have the thing inside of us that will replace whatever that is, but we can't allow this new strength to grow while we hold on to the old one, right? It's like you have to let one of these go. You can't hold on to both of them. You have to choose. And as long as you continue to hold on to both of them, you'll be stuck in this period of waiting. You'll be stuck with that dahlia from different angles. But you're still like you haven't picked these up and moved along yet. And now the final effect is the Three of Wands. I don't necessarily like this. This all wands. You got Eight of Cups, the Four of Wands, the Ten of Wands, and the Three of Wands. So maybe with the Three of Wands, that is us coming into the space. On the positive end, on the positive side of the story, that's us coming into the space where we have allowed for these burdens to be taken from us. We have done this Eight of Cups walking away truly. And now we, like I said, like you rebuild from the ace to the four, and it's like we're at the three. And so with this Three of Wands, it's like we are so close to claiming this four and entering. It's like the Wheel of Fortune is the above, and the Four of Wands is the below. And so it's like everything has already been pre-written, or everything has already been written to change. But we have to decide to move forward with that change down here, right? It's like if you do all of this internal work, but you never act or behave or do anything differently, then that's where you get this inside-outside mismatch. And then that could be when you come into the space of like, I've done all of this healing, I've done all of this growth, like, why isn't anything changing? And it's like, well, okay, well, why aren't you acting or behaving like anything has changed? Right? We've given you the tools. Like, you doing the healing and growth unlocks the tools, but you still have to use the tools, right? You defeated these bosses to get this gear, to get this equipment, to earn these skills. You got to use them. If you don't use them, then it's like the magician has all of the tools, but the magician has to use the tools to do the magic. Like, if you don't use the tools, you're not gonna get any magic. Like, magic doesn't just happen, right? And even like, because I stand the hangman on this channel. But even with the hangman, it's like you still gotta do something, right? Because I feel like the hangman is that, and I talked about it the last time I was here. It was like the magician is someone who gets the tools to learn magic. The hangman is Odin when he hung himself from the world tree to read the runes to learn magic, right? So there's a difference between like learning it on a fundamental level where it sort of rewrites itself. Ooh, I don't know why it came to me like that. But there's a difference between learning it in the hangman way and then learning it in the magician way. Because learning it in the magician way is learning how to use the tools to produce a certain result. Learning it in the hangman way is learning it on a more fundamental level that doesn't require the tools, right? And I don't know why I'm getting back into that, but yeah, I kind of sort of forgot why I went on that whole tangent. So on the positive side, this is someone who's given up the 10, or who at least who has made a decision, who's given up whatever they needed to give up to spirit, knowing that they're going to be heading, oh, as above, so below. That's why. Okay. Because this is the below. It's like on the above, the world is already sort of like in transit. The wheel is already in transit. But on the below, there are the things that we need to do to reflect that down here, to establish this rainbow bridge, to establish this connection that allows a more synchronized and syncretized movement between the two, right? It's almost like up there is the hour hand, and the above is the hour hand. On the below is the second hand. So you got to go around 60 times. You got to make 60 laps to get 60 minutes with your second hand to equal 1 hour on the hour hand. And it's like, like, or you could change the relationship where instead of like seconds and hours, maybe it's like seconds and minutes or minutes and hours, where you could do one. No, let's do seconds and minutes. Well, yeah, because if you do minutes and hours, right, there's 60 minutes in an hour, so you do 60 laps to get 1 hour instead of what 3,600. No, 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 no. Maybe because no 60 laps. Yeah, hold up, y'all. If you're on seconds, you have to do 60. No, it's 1 lap is a minute. So you do 60. Oh my gosh. I'm not getting into it because I'm going to have to do schoolwork later and I'm not trying to fry my brain right now. You have to do more laps to move from a second to an hour. You have to do less laps to go from a minute to an hour, but even less laps to go from seconds to a minute. No, it would be the same. It would be the same. 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute. 3,600 seconds in an hour. It's time to change the way you do things. If you want it to be more syncretized and lined up in your life, it requires a little bit of rework in your situation. And if you don't rework your situation, then you're going to continue to be stuck in your situation. It's like you're doing, I don't know. I don't need to get into it any further. I feel like I've said everything I needed to say. I'm not going to bludgeon this. But on the positive side, it's like someone has done the walking away, and the walking away is progressive. So as you've been progressively walking away, you've been acquiring wands at the same time, right? Wands as a measure of ability, let's say, because it's the wand, the magic wand. More like, in Hogwarts, you take the classes to learn the spells, you're learning more. And so you're at the 3, almost at the 4. And maybe at the 4, you get your first sort of major, like, milestone reward type of thing. Maybe you feel like you're kind of sort of working for not much of anything right now, but when you hit that 4, that's when you get the first. It's like when you hit the 4, you become a knight. When you do for the right way, you become a knight, right? Because there's this kingdom over here that lets anybody become a knight who wants to become a knight, and then there's this kingdom over here where you actually have to earn that title. And so it's like you left one. Let's call it schools, right? Instead of kingdoms, let's call it schools, because then it would make more sense if you sort of transfer from one to another. You have this school that gives you credits for anything and everything, and then you have this school that pushes you harder, and so the school, that degree from that school has more weight than this other school, right? And so let's say you transfer from this school to that school, and you're like done, you're like recognized as one of the top dogs at this school, and you come over to this school and they're like, okay, so you're going to be starting at the sophomore level. And you're like, a sophomore? I've already done like undergrad, grad school. Like I have a doctorates over there. And I'm like, okay, well, unless you're going to be taking care of virtual animals or doing, things in a space that isn't reality, um, things kind of sort of work different. Things work a lot different, honestly, over here. And so, sophomore. And so it's like maybe you're at this period where you're sort of like, you're doing day classes over there to finish up whatever you're finishing up. And then you're doing like evening classes over here, like 1 or 2, right? At school number 2. And you're doing your day class, you're finishing your day classes because that's what's going to put you at that sophomore level, right? And so it's like you're almost a sophomore, and then you're sort of like doing this, and then as you begin to shift, and so now we're coming to this point where you're at this 3 over here. And once you get that 4th wand, once you reach the 4th wand, you become a knight at this. Like you get your, 4 years, you get your undergraduate degree, unless you're like me and you do it in like 20 years. So you're in your 3rd year, junior year, you skipped a year. So, at least you didn't have to start all over from the beginning. You may have been initially upset that more didn't transfer, but it's better to transfer something for something that actually holds weight than it is to continue to have something that is a dime a dozen, right? A dime 10 dozen. Um, and so now we're at this junior level, about to hit the senior level. We're in that senior level because we already have those three wands. So we're in this senior level, about to get the fourth wand where we get our undergrad degree. You can do some stuff with that. Blah blah blah, and that's going to be the first sort of wave of things sort of coming in. And this would be maybe not, maybe not. Um, so yeah, that's on the positive side. On the positive side, you transferred. Now you're building back up where you did have 10 over there. You already had 10 wands. You thought you were doing good. And then the divine is like, okay, you got 10 wands. Yeah, but these are not 10 wands that you actually want. So it's time to start over. You built yourself to the 3, almost at the 4, where you get this first sort of wave of rewards coming out. And so it's like to not get discouraged at this point. But again, to really reach this point, you're entering the space where you can no longer, like, this is senior year. You can't keep doing this back and forth, attending both schools, right? Like, you already got your credit from the first school. Why do you keep going back? And it's like your teachers are like, what are you still doing here? Like, not only did you learn everything you could learn here, but like you're not even like enrolled. You're not even on our list of people. Like, why are you continuing to, like, why are you here? And you're just like, oh, it's another day. Gonna go to class like I always do. And it's like, okay. Just got off the phone. You missed a whole hour, girl. I mean, I'm basically done now. um Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you gotta make a choice. You gotta choose one of these two. You can no longer continue to play both sides of the fence. And then maybe you'll become a real phoenix, right? Maybe you'll find out that you were a phoenix all along, but you kind of got to go up in flames before you can rise from the ashes. You got to become a pile of ashes before you can rise from them. You know what I mean? I've been having a lot of dreams of being at school too, honestly, and getting assignments. I'm be getting these assignments, and I was like, I ain't doing this mess at first. That was maybe a month ago. I got this assignment. I'm like, I am not doing this mess, girl. Like, I don't even go here. Hello, I've already graduated. I am not doing this work. And then the teacher was like, I can't believe you're not going to do this work and blah, 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 blah. Look at the example you're setting for the other kids. Since you're not doing your assignment, nobody else is doing their assignment. And then I was like, oh, fine, I guess I'll do this assignment or whatever. But yeah, I've been having a lot of like school dreams. But I'm not really like a student anymore. In the past, a lot of other times I've had school dreams, it's like I would be a student. And now when I have school dreams, it's kind of just like I'm there, you know. And I remember there was this one dream in high school. I was like leaving, and the teacher was like, "Why aren't you like the bell already rang? Why aren't you in class?" I'm like, "Girl, I don't go here no more. Like, I'm about to leave." And she was like, "Oh." I was like, "Do I look like a student?" um, your latest one was graduating. Oh, nice! Congratulations. Now it's time to live in the real world, or to go to college. I don't know. Either or. Okay, so I'm gonna shuffle these up. I'm gonna get the final message. I'm not gonna do any other I Chings. I feel like this was pretty. Yeah, I feel like that was again. That's not necessarily what I built that spread to do. But it worked for today. Like I said, like I went more off of the meanings that I associated with each spot than the actual title or the purpose of it. So, ooh, what's this? Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune, Judgment, and the Devil. Oh, we got three mages that just flipped over. What's all this? Oh, is this three more cards? It's two more cards. The the Son of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. So we got all of this stuff being judged and evaluated, moved on, rolled out, but we got to continue. We got to move forward with it, more or less. So, yeah. I mean, my latest school dream was in Chinese. So I'm in like class and she's speaking Chinese. Oh, cutting to the Death and the Four of Swords. All right, let's shuffle these up. I'll give this a few shuffles. But yeah, look, there's that Ten of Wands. It's time to leave all of that mess. Oh yeah, okay, nice. I was like, can you even see it? So you see the light through there? I had a dream a while ago about magic schools. And there's the Ace of Wands. And speaking of magic schools, I had a dream. There was like a test, and it was kind of sort of Harry Potter-esque, but not really. Because like the sorting hat didn't sort us, but we took these tests and we got evaluated and then like assigned to different schools. So instead of there being different houses, it's like there were completely different schools. And the school that I got assigned to, like I got my assignment and they were talking. I was like, I'm out of here. I know how to get to my school. And like I just knew how to get there. And so I got there and they were still doing orientation or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna just go to the school. And when I get to the school, it's like under attack. They like fighting and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I come into? Like I'm here to learn. And they're like, oh no, we need you to help us out like right now. Consider this the final. Before you take any other classes, but everything that you know, everything that you need to know, you already know. And the rest you'll learn through battle. So have fun and good luck. And I'm like, what? What? And one of my friends went to this other school and he got assigned to like one of the top schools. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. And then I got assigned, it was like the second ranked. And I was actually more excited about the one I was going to. It wasn't the Gryffindor house. I'm a Hufflepuff. I love Hufflepuffs. We rock. We get slept on, but whenever you need somebody who ain't gonna mess it up like a Gryffindor or make things worse like a Gryffindor, who ain't gonna stab you in the back like a Slytherin, and who ain't gonna just like sit there and theorize like a Ravenclaw. Like if you need someone to actually be there, like you go to Hufflepuff. Duh. I don't know too much of Harry Potter. I just saw the movies one time, and I took the quiz on Pottermore, and I got assigned to Hufflepuff. I got assigned every time I do a quiz, I get Hufflepuff. Three of Swords with the Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So definitely victorious over that mess, if you choose to be. But yeah, the school was under attack. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I go back, and so, oh wow, I get it now. Okay. Because in the dream, they called it law school. There were law schools and then there were charter schools. And the charter schools were like law schools, but they were all female. I was like, law school? Why is it called law school? Like, that don't make no sense. And so after all of that foolishness went down, there was like this, maybe it was like an end of the year celebration or end of the year assembly type of thing. And I see one of my friends and I'm like, hey, like, so like, do you go to a law school? Cause she was there and I didn't see her at the first part where we like did the assignment or whatever, the test, the initial test to see where we would get placed and stuff like that. I didn't see her there, but I saw her at like the end of the year thing. And so I'm like, so like, do you go to a law school? And she's like, oh, I'll go to this charter school. And it was like a really good charter school. And I was like, oh, like, nice. So like, and she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, like, wow, this is crazy, isn't it? Like, like what? This is real. And she's like, yeah, I know. And so they kind of sort of asked for final remarks. And I got up and I gave mine. And they were like, wow, that's like really profound. That was a long time ago. That was such an interesting dream. And it actually happened over two dreams. So the first time was like the beginning into going to the school that was under attack. And then I woke up, maybe went to the bathroom and then went back to sleep. And when I went back to sleep, that was like the end of the year celebration, where like everything was over. And I was like, yeah, girl, I got there. Ooh, 6 of Cups and the 4 of Wands. Okay. But yeah, final message, please just drop me a card, 2 cards, 3 cards, whatever y'all want to say as I wrap this up. They saying pick a card, any card. Okay, I'll just pull this card. The Son of Cups. So where we had the daughter before, going through her journey, now we have the Son. And so I feel like the Son of Cups speaks to, bottom of the deck is the 10 of Swords. Ooh, we go from 10 Wands to 10 Swords. Maybe the Son of Cups is on his own journey. And now he got to go through this 10 of Cups period, or this 10 of Swords period, where the daughter of Cups had to go through the 10 of Wands. But the difference between the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords is with the 10 of Wands, that's us letting something go. With the 10 of Swords, that's us, like, that's going through it and coming out on the other side after we heal. So, but with the 10 of Swords, I feel like that's more of an awareness at the same time. I feel like with the 10 of Wands, it's like it's really easy to overcommit. And then, like, you, for whatever reason, slack on your schedule one day, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I booked like 5 different things all today. Right? That's like the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Swords is like you feel it every single time another sword goes in. And so, since you feel it, I feel like you know where the hurt is coming from. Right? You can self-diagnose it more easily because you know what you're doing. Right? It might hurt, but you're doing it anyway. And so that was the son's journey, while the daughter's journey was more of things that she thought were going to work out that didn't. And the son's journey was, okay, I'm going to keep making the best of a bad situation, even though I know this is not what I want. And then the Magician is at the bottom of the deck. Cutting to the Strength card, Strengthen the Magician. Shuffling them up. It's Pride Month, y'all. Oh, card almost came out. Okay. Last words from the Pride Tarot. Last call for messages. Last call for something to happen. 2 more shuffles and a cut. And then maybe I'll get something. 1 more shuffle, then a cut. 2 cut. And now give me something good. Give me something good. I want it now. Would you hold it against me? Knight of Swords. Because you feel like paradise and I need a vacation tonight. 4 of Wands with the Knight of Swords. The 4 of Wands is the potential. Like I said, we go from the 3 to that 4. Now here's a 4. But this Knight of Swords ain't going nowhere. Like, you supposed to be one of the fastest knights in the deck, and your horse ain't even moving. And she's like, oh, this horse don't ride like the other ones do. And this horse is like, oh, this jockey don't know how to ride me like the other ones do. She's like trying to give me all these like little nudges and commands that I just don't understand. And she's like, I'm supposed to know how to ride this thing. And this horse is like, she's supposed to know how to ride this thing. And then everybody else is at the 4 of Wands celebration waiting for you to show up. Like, they supposed to know how to ride that thing. It's a period of unlearning, again, at the same time. Right? Everything that we need is within us, but it operates in a way different to everything that we had before. So we can't wield it the same thinking that it's going to give us the same results, because that's not the case. Right? There's that 8 of gosh darn swords. The captor keeps coming out. Ooh, I could use a vacation. Anyone going anywhere fun? Got any extra room in the car for one more? Things are starting to open up now. So London probably won't be happening, but I do have the rest of my vacation fund, and I have a credit since I'm not going to Las Vegas. So maybe I will just fly out somewhere, get a nice place or a decent place. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily do anything, but at the same time, I kind of just want to change the scenery for a little bit. You need a beach, girl. I'm not necessarily a beach person. I'm not really an outside person because I'm not really a heat person. But I would try a beach. I went to a beach one time. It wasn't terrible. Ooh, justice and this page of wands. Yep, the tale resumes. The tale resumes. Justice. Let's see what her message is. Ooh, so the page of wands is bringing the king of wands because he done went through his transformation. This king has been reborn. Okay. And with the justice card, hey, it'll fit now. Archangel of Archangel of Glory. Angel of Arts and Grace. Okay, let's give this one more round. Yeah, I don't know what I need. It's different when you got water nearby to run and jump into. I don't know. I'm just not like, ooh, there's that Archangel Commander, King of Swords, coming out with that justice. So we got the Knight of Swords, and now the King of Swords is coming out with justice, where the Page of Wands became the King of Wands with justice. So someone is becoming a king on every level. Well, let's see. I'm gonna look and see where the King of Cups is. Oof. Archangel Commander, the Chancellor, and the Outlaw. That's Aquarius, Libra, and Pisces energy through Neptune, or just Neptune. That's Aquarius, Libra, and Neptune energy. Neptune is in Pisces, so I'm just curious. Where these other kings at? And so, okay, here we go. The Five of Wands and the Shining Dew is where the King of Wands is. So he may still have a little bit of stuff that he going through or doing whatever, but he gonna move. Because he's like, you know what? My happiness does not lie. And look, we got all three of these messengers together. The one not here is the Page of Swords. Okay, well. Oh, the Three of Swords just flew out. I thought that was one of the pages. Where did the Three of Swords just flew out? But here's these three. We got these messengers all together. That's interesting. Looking for these other kings. Oh, see, I told y'all with that Ten of Wands, like you got to make a decision. Well, here's the Two of Wands. We have decided, and we going up to that Four of Wands is what the Archangel of Mysteries is saying, the King of Pentacles. Okay, let's see if we can keep up this momentum across all four suits. So if this King of Cups is in a good space, I might be tempted to say that whoever these... Oh, wow. Look at this string of majors. Look at this string of majors. Kicking off with the World card. So we have this World card, which is all about endings and new beginnings. This is New World Order. This is doing things in a completely different way. And then we have the Six of Cups. And with the Six of Cups, it's like us going back to the beginning. And it's like growing up all over again, but without all of that extra baggage, right? And that's the rewriting our stories. Then we have the High Priestess, the Lovers. This is intuitively knowing which choice to make. We have the Hierophant, which is committing to that choice. And then we have this Hermit, So between, and then that's both of the eyes of God, right? Between the high priestess, between the priestess and the erudite, that's both of the eyes of God. So we got the lovers and the hierophant in between both of these. This could be one person already knew, right? The other person had to discover with this hermit. Because the priestess knows, but the hermit, he sort of finds out through internal discovery. And then after all of that, is this Ten of Swords, followed by the Four of Swords. So where we had the Ten of Wands with the Four of Wands, now we have the Ten of Swords with the Four of Swords. So on the daughter's side, she went through the Ten of Wands and Four of Wands at the end. And on the son's side, he came out with the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck in the Wild Unknown, remember? And so now we have the Ten of Swords with the Four of Swords. Like already gone through battle, still suited up. He's like, I'm ready to fight. He's just like waiting for the call to come in. Like, ooh, they ain't gonna know what hit them when I pick up the sword and swing. Kali on the battlefield. He's learned. He's learned. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. He went through all 10 swords. So you best believe he's gonna be he's tough. He's tough now. And then we have the tower still with this 10 of wands. And with the Queen of Wands. Okay, that's interesting. All right, now I'm looking for ooh. So we got this Three of Pentacles after this Tower and the Queen of Wands. We got the Tower and the Queen of Wands. So someone who came into her authority because of this Tower after that Ten of Wands again. Then we have this Three of Pentacles, which is a card of partnership. And we have the Apocalypse, which is judgment, the Chariot, and the Angel, which is temperance, right? And so we have this judgment, the Chariot, and temperance. Temperance speaks to alchemy, and alchemy is balance, right? So something has been evaluated in this situation. Hold up. So here you see the two pentacles at the top, the two orbs at the top of the three of orbs, and now I'm looking at the two orbs under the bills of the. Are these ibises, or pelicans? I can't remember. But you see the two pentacles at the top of that tree of life. Oh wait, it's up there. It's upside down. Right now you can see them. You see one, two, and then three. The top one is cut off, but then it's the same. If I can do this, as that three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Which would put this judgment in reverse. So this judgment would have already happened. And now we're moving forward. It's like with the angel and with the chariot, it's like we're waiting on orders to move forward. And you see those two sphinxes? I got on Animal Crossing right before I went live to check my turnip prices. And I actually had a sphinx in the mail today. I was like, a sphinx in the mail? That's interesting. Yeah, got a sphinx in the mail today. Because I helped. So there's this one pelican. Speaking of aquatic birds, I think he's a pelican. What is Gulliver? There's this aquatic bird who gets shipwrecked, but he falls out of the plane or whatever. And he washes up on the shore. And so yesterday I helped him out, or I had my brother help him out. So my brother helped him out, but I told him to do it, so he did it for me. And you basically have to go and dig up his lost communication pieces. And so you got to dig up 5 of these pieces along the beach that when you near one of the pieces, they briefly signal to you, hey, I'm right here. But only when you go near them and only for a brief instant. And so you you run along all the beaches, you dig up all 5 pieces, you return them to him. He fixes his communication device and then he calls for it to get picked up. And so I did that yesterday. And then he sends you something in the mail the next day. Today he sent me a sphinx in the mail. And here we see the sphinxes on the chariot, which is Cancerian energy, which is also related to the water, right? And then after that angel is this Eight of Wands. So we have this Temperance card in between the Chariot and the Eight of Wands. Something is about to start moving, and it might start moving quick. And the judgment has already been cast on this, and I think it's a favorable situation with that Three of Pentacles. I think. But the Three of Pentacles also requires for both parties to show up and for both parties to contribute. Because this Three of Pentacles ain't like, let's do a group project, but then only two people do the work and all five people get credit. Like, this ain't that type of thing. And then here we have this Queen of Pentacles coming out after that with the Ace of Wands. And then here's this Page of Swords all by herself with the Knight of Wands. So the Page of Swords is in between the Ace of Wands and the Knight of Wands. So that's interesting. Thoughts become things, right? Well, someone's been doing a lot of thinking. And I don't want to say this is like 5D communication, telepathic, maybe in your dreams. But I think something is about to start moving because somebody is about to move. Ooh, well, I don't know if I like this. We got the Devil with the Seeker and the Three of Cups. That could just be a wedding crasher. We got somebody trying to crash a wedding, maybe, potentially. And then we go into the Seven of Swords, trying to crash a wedding on the low. Oh, with the Six of Swords is with the Six of Pentacles, and I love that. Still looking for this King of Cups, y'all. The Archangel of Healing. Ooh, okay. So we got this Ace of Cups after this Nine of Wands, which is again, so we go from an 8 to a 9, so that is an ascension. After this after the Knight of Swords, the Two of Swords and the Knight of Swords. So then there again is the Eye of God, watching us make the choices that we've made, and then queuing us up respectively. This is us making the choices. This is us choosing with one of these swords, and now this is the sword coming in. This choice has been watched over, so when this sword comes in, know that it's for you, good or bad. And then we have this Eight of Pentacles into the Knight of Wands, journeyman into the malaise. This is us at the start of the journey trying to manifest something. This is us by the end of the journey, like, oh my gosh, is it not over yet? Maybe a little bit of beat up, but with going from the 8 to the 9, I feel like, we do it right. And going from Pentacles, which is all slow and steady wins the race, to the Wands, where now all of a sudden you're like in overdrive mode trying to catch up or finish whatever towards the end. But we come in with this Ace of Cups, the Reaper, the Warrior, and the Ten of Orbs. Holy Water, the Reaper, the Warrior, and the Dynasty. Ace of Cups, Death, the Sun, and the Ten of Pentacles. So, like, well done. Well done. With the Death and the Sun card, it's like it's like tore into the night sky itself to reveal the sun behind it. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now we have this captor again. Oh, okay. What? Oh, okay. All right. Here's the Queen of Swords, y'all. Here's the Queen of Swords. I found the King of Cups. So we got this captor. I should have expected the captor to come out because it's been coming out all day. Eight of Swords, the captor, with this King of Cups. And I was like, man. So, like, because we need all of these kings to be in a good space to turn these kings into an emperor, right? To expand, to unite the kingdoms under one empire peacefully. This isn't a Game of Thrones type of situation. I never watched Game of Thrones, so maybe I shouldn't say Game of Thrones. This isn't a situation where we got these kingdoms and then one gets power hungry and tries to conquer the other three. No, like if you try to do that, it's going to fail. If you try to do that, you're probably going to have another tower moment, probably going to have another Dark Knight, and then you're going to do a whole nother lap. This is four kings coming together, sitting down, having a discussion, and realizing that they all benefit the most when they unite under one banner. But the way that they unite, it's like they unite their kingdoms, they unite their people, they unite their resources. And however this empire is ruled, everyone is in agreement with. Right? And that's the difference between this empire and the one empire that's caused by a king who goes mad with power. I ain't gonna say it's the King of Wands, but the King of Wands did come out with the Death Card. So maybe someone got their ambitions and desires in check. Maybe more egoic desires. But after that, we have this Wheel of Fortune. So things where once this Archangel of Healing was held captive, things now begin to turn. So I think we're going to be okay. And then we have the Queen of Cups right there coming out right after that King of Cups. So the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups were separated by the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like fate brought them together, destiny tore them apart, but their legacy will be what they create once they come back together, once they reunite. I was going to try to make that into a rhyme, but I lost it. So, oh, the Empress is sitting in between the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. Like, not only like when you wished for it, you had to be worthy of it. You became worthy of getting this wish, Empress. I don't think I've seen the Emperor yet, so he might be back here. And after the Nine of Cups is the Keeper. So, I mean, the whole gosh darn Keeper. So the last four cards, the Keeper, the Joyous One, Ten of Cups, the Moon, the Necromancer, and the Joined One, Two of Cups. I feel like that Moon speaks to like healing, honestly. I feel like the Moon is bringing light to situations that were in the dark. And since there's light in those dark places now, it's ushered in healing on levels that were previously inaccessible because of the extremes of what we've been experiencing, right? It's like to do healing that deep, you would have had to been exposed to something potentially not great, something potentially very hard. Ooh, I will take it. Six of Orbs and the Chancellor at the cut. All right, I'm going to do this 2 more shuffles, and then I'll try to get the last message, and then I'll shut this down because it's been 2 hours. What am I going to title this? A dirty swine does not a phoenix make. Let me stop. Just because you covered yourself with ash and you fly in the sky, don't mean you a phoenix. Archangel of Healing with the tower. Healing from these tower moments is what makes you a phoenix. Carrying around a bunch of rubble does, like, no. Oh, a card came out. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Why? Why? Ooh, but I do love this. So I looked to see what card was on the bottom of the deck, and right up top I had this tower card. The card that came out is this Corruptor. Is the Corruptor. And I was like, why is the Corruptor out? But literally right behind this, in the shadow of this Corruptor, is this tower. And the tower in this deck brings an end to corruption. That's what Shiva's Axe down there does. Shiva's Axe brings an end to this corruption. So it's being brought to the surface to be struck down. And then at the bottom of the deck is the Journeyman. So we go from the 7 in the Corruptor to the 8 with the Journeyman. And then after the 8 was the Malaise. Right? What's behind the 8 now? Behind the 8 now is the 2 of Cups. So not going to get beat up this time. And I'm actually going to I Ching around these two. Because why not, right? Just to see if it adds a little bit of extra flavor. Speaking of extra flavor, I'm going to eat after this. And I'm so excited to eat after this. I'm listening to my peaceful meditations. I'm trying to be the best little transmuter I can be. I'm trying to hold enough space to fit a whole gosh darn planet, a conscious planet full of conscious, I wouldn't even say mostly conscious people, full of increasingly conscious people. So, you know, it's a lot of space I'm trying to hold. But I'm just trying to do my part energetically for the collective over here. You know what I mean? I've been fighting for this collective for years. It is so nice. Let me stop. Miyoshi, I actually saw you in a dream last night. I think I don't remember now. I feel like you kind of popped up in passing or something, or like I was going somewhere and I saw you, maybe, but now I don't remember. It just kind of sort of popped into my head. I was like, wait, I think I saw Miyoshi in a dream. It was in passing. I don't even think we talked though. I think I just like saw you going somewhere and I was going somewhere else, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Because in my dream last night, for some reason, I was pushing, like, I was getting like a hotel room or going to an event or something with three people. Zach from the Try Guys was there. Don't know why. It was like two other dudes and a female. And I'm there with this, I'm pushing like a rolling chair just in case I need to sit down or in case there's not enough chairs in the whatever. I don't know why I'm pushing around a chair. And we get in there and like we're having fun. They're making jokes. Maybe we're doing like a skit type of thing. I don't remember. And then we leave. There's like a parking garage. There were people trying to get on the elevator. I'm like, oh my gosh, sorry. Just wheeling around a chair like a random person. I don't know why I'm wheeling this chair around. I remember thinking like I looked so weird just wheeling this chair around, but I'm glad I had it because when we went to that one space, there wasn't enough seats, and I brought my own seat, and it's comfortable. But I also remember thinking like trying to navigate through these like hallways with this chair while there are other people, and like there were a lot of people going somewhere when we were leaving. It might have been a graduation, honestly. Because I remember it would have been like a high school graduation though, because it was like there were high school aged people, and I remember thinking like, oh, I remember when I graduated high school almost 10 years ago now. Oof. But yeah, I don't remember. I just saw you in passing. Oh, very unsettlingly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my dreams, or last night, I feel like it was just random. I don't know what I was doing. Some of them are just like, what is happening? Some of them I talk about. I mean, I've talked about the ones I've had lately. Going through all of the emotions I had. So I had the first dream when I was mad. I was mad. And then the next dream, I'm like crying, and then I'm happy crying, and then I'm sad crying. And then after that, it was dreams in Chinese that I talked about. Last night was some random dream. I was trying to make somebody laugh, I guess, wailing around a chair. I don't know. Were the cards? The Tower and the Seven of Cups. Ooh, I should have known the Tower was thunder. So this is going to be thunder over water. Oh my gosh. Thunder over water sounds like a disaster. If that water gets struck and you in that pool, oof. Water conducts electricity. This is number 3. Initial challenge. I don't think I've ever gotten this before. Initial challenge. Difficulty at the beginning. This is tune. No, wait. Hold up. Is this upper trigram is thunder? Okay, I did it backwards. That's my bad. I think I'll read it anyway though. So this is backwards. So if we're going from the tower into the seven of cups instead of the seven of cups into the tower. So the tower into the seven of cups is trying to rebuild after things have fallen apart, picking the best option, I guess. A blade of grass will push against its obstacle when it sprouts out of the earth. The first meeting of heaven and earth is often beset with difficulties. That's what I was talking about. Because in the above, in heaven, it's like things have already changed. But when that change is reflected on earth, It requires change, right? When the Earth moves, when Earth comes against Earth, pressure builds up and earthquakes happen, right? And other stuff. But when air meets air, I mean, maybe you get like a funnel cloud, but then that funnel cloud comes down to the Earth to cause the destruction. It doesn't just stay up in the sky and I don't know. I mean, I guess you get storms and stuff. Anyway. It is a time of personal growth. For now, you must store your energy, build momentum slowly and steadily, and prepare for the sudden breakthrough. You have not yet found your path. You will stay, no, you still see too many possibilities. The lack of clarity is the initial hindrance. Do not grasp at the first solutions that present themselves. Wait until the matter becomes clear to you. Is that not what I was saying about the people sitting back, choosing one of the seven cups when they know that all seven of the cups are different? See, y'all might have thought, I don't know if anybody did, but y'all might have thought that I was being proud and egotistical and whatever when I was like, if I see seven cups and all of them cups are trash, I'm gonna wait until you bring me something that is worthy of me. Like I did 20 enough years of my life picking the best out of a bad situation. It's like none of these options are fitting, none of these are suitable. Next, right? It said don't take the first option because what we opened this up with was the captor, the devil, and the corruptor, maybe. I remember the Eight of Swords and the devil came out. It's like Stockholm syndrome. Someone is choosing the best out of a bad situation, and what you're really doing is making laterally equivalent decisions, right? It may be a little bit better in this area, but it's going to be worse in that area. And so you're making all of these moves that you're not moving forward. And sometimes you got to sit back and wait for the thing that's actually meant for you. Because as long as you continue to take trash, you will be continue to serve. You will continue to be served trash, and it's not trash. Maybe trash is harsh. As long as you indulge in situations that you have grown out of, that you have healed out of, as long as you continue to engage in them, you will be presented with them. And so sometimes the fact that you're presented with these situations, it's like it is what it is. It is what it is. You have not yet found your path. You still see too many possibilities. The tower into the seven of cups. That's what I was saying. This is the tower moving to the seven of cups. And so you like grasping at anything because you just lost so much. And it's like, no, like the reason why you just lost that, the reason why we cleared out that space is because we're moving in something bigger. Like that's why we had to clear out the space. That's why we had to bust down a wall because we're moving in a whole new whatever, and it wouldn't have fit through the door. And we can fix up the door later, right? Let's move this in first because if you put the door back up, how are you going to move it in? You know. Anyway, that was the reverse. Now let's do thunder over water. I accidentally did water over thunder. So Thunder Over Water is number 40, Deliverance. Deliverance. Oh, I love it. I love it. Deliverance, y'all. I'm hyped. Let me make sure. Thunder Over Water. Okay. This is GF. It's redemption, deliverance, and release of tension. Oh, I love this. I love it already. When your endeavor has not yet been completed, do not procrastinate. Bring it to completion. Ooh, I feel like this is shouting me out. It's calling me out. When your endeavor has not yet been completed, do not procrastinate. Bring it to completion. When your endeavor has been completed, a prompt return to stability will bring you good fortune. Do not bask in the afterglow of glory. Go straight back to work. What you contemplate doing, proceed with. You will outsmart even the smart. You will hunt rather than run. Sever ties with those who bring you sorrow. In your endeavor, you encounter naysayers. Cut yourself loose from that hold over you. The untying of a knot, the unraveling of a complication. Things are trying to simplify themselves. That's kind of sort of what I was talking about in the beginning about the Five of Cups. It's like these cups keep knocking themselves over, or someone else keeps coming to knock these cups over. And it's like you keep putting these cups upright, even though they keep getting knocked over. And this Ace of Swords realization at the beginning of the journey, this Ace of Swords realization was maybe those cups aren't supposed to be upright. Because no matter how hard I try, they keep getting knocked over. So instead of focusing on trying to pick these three cups up, trying to get other people to align with my vision, trying to convince naysayers and haters and people who ultimately at the end of the day, like they're not supporters, you're not going to make supporters out of people who aren't supportive. You're not going to make supporters out of people who actively wish failure upon you. So continuing to put effort into that is a waste of time. And that's effort that you can put into going where you actually want to be. And that's the deliverance. I love that the deliverance from this isn't like, ooh, this is a get out of jail free card. You ain't got to do nothing. Just kick up your feet and relax. It said, after you complete this endeavor, go back to work. Don't bask in the afterglow. Where it's like it's crunch time. We're getting down to the wire. Don't stop now. Like, don't like keep going. Like you have like you you may feel like you done a lot. You have. Congratulations. You may feel like you've grown and that you've healed. You have. Congratulations. Newsflash, there's still more for you to do. You ain't done yet. You're not done yet. And we're getting like it's like we're getting down to the wire. Like, don't stop now. Woo. Don't stop. Friend or foe. Oh, what? Oh. What? Girl, at this point, I'm just like, if I can stay awake long enough to do anything, I need to get my schoolwork done. And it's like everything else going on in the world right now, I don't know. I'm just trying to transmute what I can, trying to sleep when I can, eat when I'm hungry, do these readings when I come live, especially if I feel led to go live. Because then at the very least, even if nobody watches these things, at the very least, I can say that I said whatever I felt I needed to say that day. And whatever work I had to do was done. Whatever work I had to do was done. And I'm not going to be like, well, nobody watched, so I'm going to stop. And, no shade to anyone who would, but I feel like there are things that I'm supposed to do at this time, even if it isn't heard, because people find it. And the people who it's meant for will come across it. And whatever word said, if you were supposed to say it, at least you said it. Shoot. I mean, I've been doing both. I wrapped up that one assignment. I procrastinated. I finished that assignment, but I never submitted it because there was one thing I needed to go back and to fix. So I went back and I fixed that. I went back to one of the projects that I started in February, thinking that I did enough work to finish it, but I went to a whole nother unit. So now I got to go back and like review everything that I did the first time, thinking I could just like work off of what I already had done. So I'm basically learning it all over again because enough time has passed and my brain is just like, woo. So I sat down to do work and I'm like, I'm supposed to know how to do this, and I do, but the process behind it is so like I have been doing work. And so like I have this working agreement right now. Oh, let's call it an understanding. Um I sleep when I'm sleepy and I record if I have to. Sometimes several. It's already been 2 hours and 35 minutes. Um and then in the in between time, I check my turnips on Animal Crossing. But besides that, like I do work. And if I get sleepy when I'm doing work, I'm honestly for the past few days I've been sleeping a lot because I've just been tired. It's like I get up, I'm up for a second. Like I woke up yesterday and I was like, when did I go to sleep? Because I don't even remember laying down, but here I am waking up. Um, so yeah, I have been doing schoolwork, but it's like outside of like sleeping. Especially maybe for the past week, I've been sleeping a lot. But yeah, so I have been doing some work. Ooh, you know, I've been getting this work done, and I'm reaching this point where I'm like, I have this feeling because I made this demand because I said to my team, to my crew, and they listen. I have a working relationship, and so like there are things that I know I need to do, and then there are things that I want to do. And so I leverage the things that I need to do with the things that I want to do, things I want to have done in whatever way that looks like. And I kind of sort of said in the past, when things were starting to pick up like spiritually, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like there's so much that I want to dive into, but I need to get my degree. I need to finish this work. And so I was like, you know what? Like I need to get this. Like I really want this. And so everything else is going to have to slow down enough for me to focus on doing this. And I didn't do it when I could have done it. So now it's like I'm wanting to dive into everything else even more, but then like no, you said you needed your degree first. And so the rest of this stuff you're gonna have to get your degree to get. And it popped into my mind the other day. I feel like there's a piece of knowing what I'm gonna do next. That like I know I don't know it yet, but I know I will know it soon. But then I'm just like, wait, I'm not gonna have to actually finish my work and get my degree before I know what I'm doing next, will I? And then something tells me that I will. So I've effectively created this blockage for myself to get me to be where I want to be, where I know I ultimately need to be. Um, and even if I don't necessarily fully use it as intended, it's important for me to have. Like I didn't invest all of this time and money to not get it. But yeah, so I have been when I'm not asleep. But yeah, I'm gonna eat now. Then I'm gonna get back to work. Hopefully, I can finish this today, or at least like within the next 2 days. Because my goal is to be complete by the first week of July. My goal was to be complete by the end of June, but then the end of May happened, where I just got like super tired out of nowhere, not able to sleep, procrastinating, other things going on in the world, in the collective. But I'm still going to try to make early July happen. And then I guess if early July happens, I will officially be free. Am I still intimidated by that? Or afraid? Not afraid. Excited. Anxious? Am I still anxious about that? I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I am, but I might be. If that makes sense. Because I know the anxiety of like finishing my degree kept me in a space of self-sabotaging in the past, I guess I feel like more so now, like I kind of want to. I'm at peace with not knowing where I'm going, but I want to know at the same time. Like I want to know what I'm preparing for, and I know that I'm already preparing in the ways that I really need to be preparing because I mean I've experienced it, and I don't know. I mean, I guess going back to the corruptor in the tower, right? There have been opportunities that I've turned down because I've known, regardless of the reasons closer to the surface of why I turned them down, ultimately I know that they're not for me. I know that those are distractors from my path. And even though they're like really enticing, and if they weren't enticing, it wouldn't be a very good distraction. If it wasn't tempting, it wouldn't be a very good test. If it wasn't, challenging, what is it evaluating? So it's understandable, but it's like I'm like I'm turning down these opportunities for what I don't even know why yet. Um, so it would just be like nice to know why I'm not pursuing these, but at the same time, I don't need to know because I know that like pursuing them isn't in my highest interest and it wouldn't make me happy. Um, so it's like I don't need to know, but it would be nice to know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's been very that. So, but I'll find it out in time. See, the thing with me though is a lot of times when I come to periods of transition, I'll have an answer. Even if I don't want to do it, I'll have an answer. I'll know what to say if someone asks me, right? But whenever the thing that I'm supposed to do comes along, I know it. I just know it. I know it's for me. And I know that it's going to be mine, regardless of how slim the odds are of me getting it. I just know it. And there are some things that I know right now. I don't know how they're going to come to be. And I'm not exactly sure of how I'm going to get there. But I know when I'm presented with an option that takes me off of where I know I'm supposed to be going, even though I don't know where I'm going, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I love surprises. I love to be surprised. And maybe it's because I feel like I predict a lot. It's like, oh, that's not surprising. Oh, that's not surprising. Oh, saw that coming. Maybe that's why I like surprises, or one of the reasons. But also, I just like to be surprised. I love like mystery and like figuring things out. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm glad to hear that you're reaching that space as well. And I guess it's not really a step on my journey at this point because I've always had that, but it's a comfort in this phase, right? Because the first step, I mean, there were a lot of steps. One of the first steps was being decisive. Another of the steps was shifting from base desires to true desires or truer desires that coincided with being decisive. And it's that ability to feel and ability to know when the direction is coming, and the ability that I picked up recently, maybe last year, to just flow with things and not need to know where I'm going, that are now serving as strengths. And so it's sort of like tiding me over when I get hit with these waves of impatience and when I get hit with these waves of like I feel it coming. And when I can feel it, that's when it's like I need to know, like, what is it? Where is it? Like I feel it. It's like if I could stretch my little physical hand into the astral and angelic, oof, energetic, maybe the angelic realms. Oh goodness. if I could stretch my little physical hand into the astral and energetic realms, I know I could just like touch it and bring it to me. It's like that close. And so on the physical, I'm like, what is it? Where is it? Like, I feel it coming. Like, where is it? Is it this? Is it that? Like, where's the surprise? Surprise! Like, I know they're going to jump out and say surprise at any moment now. And that's when I kind of sort of get a little, impatient and a little antsy. Um, but then on the other hand, um, it's like, I don't know. Like, I do like surprises, but when you're dealing with like a wild card, I'm just like, oh my gosh, anything could happen. Literally anything. So man, it's unpredictable. I've never been in a space that's quite so unpredictable, I guess. So it is kind of new for me in that sense. I still love surprises. But this space is a lot more unpredictable than I'm used to. So I know that whatever surprise comes, I'm going to love it because that's the frequency that I'm tapped into. Like, I know I'm gonna love it. I'm probably gonna cry. I was like pulling some cards yesterday for no special reason. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You never know what's gonna happen. Goodness. For all I know, somebody could be like, hey, I'm gonna start a company and I saw you, do everything you did, and I know that you're capable more so than anybody of doing exactly what I need, and you're a really quick learner, and you just get stuff. And I want you on my team. And I could be like, oh my gosh, like yeah, like I'm there. You know what I mean? Sorry. Wild card times for sure. Um, but yeah, like I'm tapped into something that I was pulling cards randomly yesterday, and I pulled some cards, and the magician came out. First of all, three cards just like randomly came out. It was the magician, the empress, and the lovers, and I'm like, oof. And then I grabbed my other deck and I pulled some cards, and I can't remember what the first card that came out was, but then the Ten of Cups came out, and when the Ten of Cups came out, I feel like subconsciously I knew what that was about before my conscious mind was kind of sort of like what is this? And then I just started to like cry, and I was just like overwhelmed with just like happiness and joy out of nowhere, just like looking at the cards on the table. And I'm just like, do I know something that I don't know? If that makes any sense. Because like the intuitive part of me knows for sure. Um, and then there's a part of me like that's anyway, I don't have to get all the way down into it, right? But yeah, I just like was randomly hit with like this intense wave of like happiness more so than gratitude, but it was a happiness that led into a gratitude and appreciation, and it lasted for maybe like a minute or two, and then I was like, okay, well, I need to finish this up, so I'm gonna finish this up, right? um, so I did. But yeah, something good is coming, and I know that I don't have to worry about what it is, and I know that me worrying about when it will be, it's not going to help. It's just going to keep me in this space of impatience. So I think we know what we know to the point we don't know, if you get it. Well, we are multidimensional beings. And so on some level, I think we always know, even when we don't know. And it's the spaces like I'm so sure I don't even really know no more. Well, I feel like, that's the space of trust. When you know that, when like you can know to the point that you don't need to know. And since you don't need to know, you don't know. So then, yeah, I get it. where you know to the point that you don't need to know, and so you just like, even though you don't know, you know, you know what I mean. Even when you don't know, you know. It's because you don't need to know, and it comes in when you're not always looking for something to put into that space. I guess um, it's like I don't know. I just like it'll be good, and then especially when you know that you're not going to know, then it's like, okay, like I'm never gonna know what this is. Like I won't even be able to guess. Like I might have a few educated guesses, but like I don't know what it's gonna look like. I don't know. Like all I know is like the feeling. I don't know why I'm gonna feel this feeling. It could be anything, but like I know, you know, you know, I know you know, and I know you know, and I know you know. um, but yeah, I guess I kind of sort of want to pull. I'll pull a Wisdom of Lord Ganesha card because I haven't pulled one of these in a minute. And hold on, let me check something real quick because I'm actually gonna go in and I'm gonna edit the title of this video really quick. So bear with me before I forget what I talked about. Um, and what am I gonna title this? Maybe not actually. Where's my little edit button? I don't have my little edit button. Come on, come on, come on. Where's my little edit button? There's my little edit button. Okay. What am I gonna title this? Something about the swine. Something about transferring schools. No. Uh, to the. See, I'm so bad with titles that sometimes I